and Sin to see who of this group will go out in first place.
Yep, Sen looking really good so far, man. He's on a crazy win streak right now in WCS. Basically won 9 maps on a row. Before that, he lost 4 on a row when he lost against Sage and Oz, and he was forced to stick in Challenger League. And I think Sen, you know, he woke up after another big sleep, and he's like, I don't think this is where I belong, man. You know, we all know this feeling once upon a time. You're surrounded by a crowd, and you just think, this is not where I belong. I've been there. I'm sure you've been there. And
this is not my beautiful house. This is not my beautiful wife. and I ask myself, how did I get here?
Sen is our red Zerg spawning in the right bottom side of the map. Once more on a crazy win streak so far. Goswser is our North American Zerg hope, at least today. Spawning on the left top side of the map. Goswser is a great player. Even if he loses this series, he will still have a chance to make it into the WCS Premier League round of 16. And then make it to the round of 8, and then, you know, then the big goal is been finish top 6, because you will be able to secure your ticket to Toronto. And that is, of course, what it's all about.
Pretty
Toronto,
identical.
You know, basically, it all comes down to starting from the bottom, and then you go to Toronto. And you know also what's from Toronto, Ben? It's Drake.
I can't handle your obsession with this musician. It's borderline unhealthy.
Stop hating, hater.
Pretty similar builds from these two players. Not early pool, but like 15 pool into hatchery. Sin has gotten the gas, whereas Goswser has opted to go gasless. That's the only exception we've seen thus far.
Pretty big, this exception, though. Like, that definitely opens up a lot of different routes for both players. Goswser obviously putting himself in a pretty defensive position, at least for now. It's going to be damn hard to make something happen without gas. And Sen on the other end, you know, he might still bust out the Roddy build.
You know, and speedling attacks on this map in particular, certainly in these positions, can be extra effective because that hatchery of Goswser is so far from that ramp. So it's going to be difficult for him to use, you know, only queens and spine crawlers to defend both the hatch and the ramp. So that could be something that we see later out of Sin.
Sen shouldn't make too many drones there if he wants to go for the Roddy build. And for the people at home who want the Roddy, don't you play Protoss? Yes, I do. But
hey, he can still make at least one more drone, and he'll be below the Momon number.
You know, I've beaten multiple Grandmaster League Zerg players with the Roddy build. It's legit all in.
It's
there
ridiculous.
We go, 6 Zerglings on the way. How many additional Zerglings are we going to see? Overlord in production.
I think we might see some Roddy build action.
I think Sen has learned from the absolute best, man.
You don't understand how much this just turns my stomach seeing this.
Here we go, 40 Zerglings on the way, 21 drones right now for Sen. Shout out to Moman, our lovely friend Zerg, who used to go up to 21 drones and then just be like all about the roaches and lynx.
What would that make 22 drones? Is something Momon might say. Oh, this is definitely looking to be very Roddy build-esque. 16 more lings on the way.
Sen is so good.
Still no gas from Goswser, and we are about to see if the Roddy build can stand the test of WCS.
Just the extractors going down right now. I actually don't see a possible way for... I mean, 3 queens is pretty damn good. A spine crawler is pretty damn good, but...
Transfusion is a big key here, but the problem...
Oh, whoa,
that might save the day.
But this is going to be in time.
Oh!
Whoa,
Well,
Sen had a window there.
He can still kill one of these building structures here.
Oh!
Or
just walk
that
by.
could happen.
What up?
All right, Roddy build pretty good.
Well, I mean, he's not there yet. He's still going to have to do quite a bit of damage.
I think he's there, Kev.
Oh. No, he's going to be able to surround the queen over here. A lot of action right now. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit to keep track on all these Zerglings. Sen is on hold position quite a while over there. He's droning up a little bit behind this, though, Ben. So I think Goswser will be able to stabilize.
Yeah, this is going to go okay. Sin kind of missed an opportunity, I think.
I think he should have just gone all the way up in the main.
Agreed.
But here he has to worry about that spine crawler getting a range as well. He's still doing a reasonable amount of damage, though.
Yep, but he's only killed a queen and Zerglings, really. The drones killed. Oh, you want to take a guess before you bring up the Workers Lost tab?
3.
Now it's 2. But this is a surprisingly good defense out of Goswser. And while I don't want to detract from Goswser's defense, I still feel like Sin made a large mistake by not just running everything up into the main.
Yeah, and he kind of was there, and it would have taken a little while for the queens to get off creep and then get on creep again. And you know, I think he would have definitely been able to kill way more drones than he actually did. But in the end of the day, Ben, I still kind of like Sen's position. He had a lot of action on the other side of the map. We see +1 being researched right now for the roaches. Roach 1 being morphed in over here as well. His third hatchery is way quicker than the one of Sen. He still has more eyes on the map. Like, look at the Overlord spread. Look at the Zerglings that are active. Goswser on the other end. I feel like he's putting himself in a little bit of a dicey position.
Well, you know, you're right about everything you said, except Goswser's got the worker lead, he's got the slight upgrade advantage, and he's got the faster tech. So I think 1-1 roach timing could be very hard for Sin to deal with. I don't know. I just don't think that Sin's economy at that third base is going to be kicking before a roach attack arrives. We'll see. It's going to be close. As the first roaches are in production now for Goswser.
You know, Ben, upgrades are extremely important, but what would you rather have in a roach war? Defender's advantage or 1+1 on an upgrade?
Probably the defender's advantage. In ZVZ, it's hugely important. How many times have we seen a fight that looked like it was going to go the way of the attacker, and then narrowly it gets defended? In fact, there's an old saying in ZVZ from back in the Wings of Liberty days, and it says, in ZVZ, the player who attacks first loses, just because of the massive difference.
I don't think that's only an old saying in ZVZ. But I mean, I believe, you know, I think that's like been around since the middle. Never mind. Go ahead, man.
I don't understand where you're trying to go with your line of thought.
I just think it's funny, like, if that's the first time you've ever heard that saying.
If it's the first time, it wouldn't be an old saying. It would be a new one. Old sayings have been around for a long time.
Like, yeah, but it's a very old saying.
That's what I said.
It's like the type of saying that's been around even before ZVZ was known to mankind. You know, it's hard. Don't you think it's hard to attack in a war as well? Anyway, Ben, I agree with you. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I didn't appreciate your saying. But I do agree with you. It's hard to attack. Go on, Ben. Don't be sad now.
I'm just going to follow your lead here, Kev.
All right. We have 26 roaches over here for Sen against 24 for Goswser, which, you know, by the time you cross the map, it is going to be really hard. And, you know, Weissman once said, the person who attacks first in ZVZ is going to have a rough time. Sen is actually marching across the map, and that's the opposite of what we expected, certainly considering the fact that this third hatchery from Goswser is quite a bit later. Alright. Actually, Sen is putting himself in a really difficult position right now. He's just sacrificing a lot of roaches. There you go, Ben, attacking first. And Sen is actually, he should have been aware of this very old saying.
He should have listened to the old wise man.
He does have a worker lead. He's up to 63 drones against the 52 from Goswser. 70 drones now even. Upgrade advantage still heavily in favor of Goswser. He's a 1-1 and 2-2 is well on the way. But the drone advantage, I'm kind of digging it for Sen.
He's definitely got a lot more money to work with, Kev, and you know, Goswser's sort of trying to recover here. If we look at the army supplies, though, we can see that he really doesn't enjoy any real advantage outside of that +2 armor. He's dropping his Hydra Den. Sin, on the other hand, is going to go Infester. So Roach Hydra versus Roach Infester.
I think that Goswser in general is quite good in Roach Hydra. I've seen a lot of great ZVZs from him. Didn't he have that great game against Hyun on Star Station? It's just a ridiculous game where he played so well and was going back and forth so many times back then at DreamHack.
I mean, for a long time, Roach Infester was considered just the superior way to play the matchup. I think since players have gotten better and since maybe the Infester's a little bit worse now, it might not still be the case. Here come the first Hydras from Goswser. Now, Belcher Vestige is a very choky map, so that means that Fungal can be hugely impactful still, but it does come down to positioning.
40 roaches against 40 roaches, 68 drones against 63 drones, but once more upgraded advantage in favor of Goswser. Sen is definitely the more active player though, and throughout the entire game. Like, he opened up with the Roddy build. He didn't really want to commit to the Roddy build, which, you know, in all my ZVZs, you know, it's Roddy build win or die trying. It's one moment you're still on 18 drones, you just keep making circlings, and then eventually you hope to break your opponent. Even when you know it's not going to happen anymore. But I do like how active Sen has been, and it always feels good when you're playing a mirror matchup and you have units out on the map all the time. It's not going to mean that the fight eventually is going to go in your favor, because a couple of fungals can definitely change everything, or, you know, whether they're good or bad.
Yeah, Goswser's finally going to move out on the map. Both players are maxed here, and you know, at this point it just becomes all about position. Who's going to take that first good fight? Who's going to have the better concave? Who's going to trade more effectively? It's so hard to attack in these situations.
As much as I love the Infestors ban, like 4 fungals or 4 Infestors, maybe 4 fungals right now, maybe 8 soon, I feel that is really good by perhaps forcing your opponent to take a fight he doesn't really want to take. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't think that the DPS of the fungal is going to be super important. Would you agree?
It just depends. If he catches them all clumped up, it's going to be huge. If he doesn't, if they're spread out, if they're in a big line, then fungal becomes much less relevant in that in that kind of an example.
There's one roach. He's like, guys, wait here.
He was brave.
I'm gonna take a look. Ooh, looks pretty hard to attack into.
Let's go around.
Yeah.
As Goswser continues to dance. Got a very ambitious queen joining his army.
I really was not meant to stay on. He's actually splitting up his units right now. This is a little bit risky. Sen is doing pretty much the same thing, though.
We've got a larger group of units here for Goswser, and actually both fronts, I think, might favor Goswser. The Infestors have used a bit of their energy. Oh, that's a big clump, and a huge fungal lands for Sin. Goswser trying to make some magic happen, and he might have just succeeded. Oh, wow, look at the supply difference,
yeah,
though.
But that's because there are 45 roaches on the way. They're not here, though. And if all those roaches kind of spawn one by one, if he stands on top of the production, I think Goswser will be able to do really well here. And he's already been doing fantastic.
Sin is doing everything in his power to sort of divide and conquer. Goswser has so many users now. He's got his remax with 27 Hydras and 16 Roaches. So the new army of Goswser going to be a bit more balanced than that of Sin. Sin is on pure Roach right now. He has got 40 Roaches out on the map against, well, right now Goswser's got only Hydras out, and not that many of them. He's got to be careful. He's probably going to lose his 4th base. I'm not sure if he can get units out in time to defend it.
If Sin is really going to go for it, though, I think that Goswser is going to try to defend it. I think he will be fine, but he should be able to put his Hydras in a pretty sweet position here. And as we can see right now, Sin is retreating, perhaps waiting for the reinforcements. But he's going to keep that base alive while he did eventually, or like before the big fight, he forced a cancel on that 4th base of Sin.
Oh, man. Oh, my God. How's this going to play out? Roaches unburrow, but unfortunately the damage output in Goswser's army.
He didn't really unburrow on top of all the Hydras. Like, he definitely got a few, but the big clump of Hydras was still a little far away, and the DPS from Goswser looked really good. Still enjoying that upgrade advantage. 2-to-1 upgrades for Sen against the 2-2 for Goswser.
Yep. Right now, Hydra speed being researched for Goswser. Both players establishing their 4th base is still a super close game. This late game Roach Hydra ZVZ is often very hard to predict.
It was definitely a very, very good fight for Goswser, though. He's going to try to do it once more. It might be a little bit tricky to attack into this.
He wants to force his way up that ramp, and he's not going to. As Sin is beginning to make his own transition into Hydras. Now, when you say Roach Hydra versus Roach Infestor, you have interesting sort of dynamics being introduced. As we see another fight here, and it looks like a pretty good concave once more for Goswser, and Sin realizes that he's going to back off.
I think Sen is in a lot of trouble, man. I don't think he's going to be able to get a good fight while keeping this 4th base alive.
That 4th is going to go down, and that's a big advantage to Goswser.
And the army value is just is in favor of Goswser as well.
It's quite close in terms of army supplies, 130 to 130. And anytime there's a maxed out army, either side can win. Like, this is so far from over. And one thing that Sin has done well is he's kind of completed the trifecta. He's got Roaches, Hydras, and Infestors versus just Roaches and Hydras. So if he gets a favorable fight, Goswser has to stay the whole time. Like, there's no running away. There's no disengage.
There's only 3 Infestors, so it's going to be really hard to make those guys worth the money. And Goswser is actually going to kind of commit to this. That's the first fungal. It's fantastic.
It's a good fungal, but it's also a pretty good position for Goswser to fight, and he's not going to mind taking this fight. And look at how overwhelming the position is for Goswser. Sin cannot deal with this.
And the DPS as well from all those Hydras. It was 34 Hydralisk against 14. And sure, it's awesome to have a couple of Infestors in the mix. But when you have 20 Hydralisk more than your opponent, you know, Ben, I'm a true believer of the Roach. But I do love me some Hydras in ZVZ.
Yep, well done here by Goswser. 177 supply against about 115. An overwhelming lead for Goswser. These units will get cleaned up, but the next wave of reinforcements, I think, should break Sin. It is a maxed out Goswser against a 100 supply Sin. There are 21 Roaches in production and many, many, many units streaming across the map.
Almost tripling the army supply, and that's when you know that you're going to have a really good time playing ZVZ. I still think it kind of all comes down to the start, though. I mean, Sen wasn't that far behind. I do think it was very smart. The army composition from Goswser was just, in my opinion, better throughout the entire game. The Hydras working, but Sen could have done so much more early game with his speedlings. And he wasn't in like a horrible position after that. I liked that he was out on the map all the time. I liked his vision, but he could have done so much more.
So if we go back to the age-old saying, Kev, he who attacks first loses.
Sen attacked first.
He did, and it's going to hold true here.
I will never underestimate the age-old sayings again.
GG gets called. Goswser ties it up.
I never question